Now that we've seen what XML is and what it's used for and some of its advantages and drawbacks, let's take a look at some real-world uses of XML so you can see how other organizations are using XML to solve data-related problems. So I've got the CNN website open here, and the URL I'm visiting is cnn.com/services/RSS. Now, RSS is a data format that is one of the ways that blogs are published. And if I scroll down here on the CNN site, you can see that there's a whole bunch of RSS feeds, which are XML documents that list various different news-related items. So let's go ahead and click on one of these. I'm going to click on the one for CNN Top Stories. Now, when I click on it, you'll notice that we don't get a screen full of XML code. What we're getting is a nicely styled page that has a whole bunch of stories here, right? But what I can do is right-click and choose View Page Source. And when I do that, I do get the XML code. So this is all pretty small. So let me just go ahead and zoom up the page so you can see the code a little bit better. All right. So right at the top of the page, here is the XML declaration, right? And then right underneath that is something called an XML style sheet declaration. And we'll see more of these later. Right here is the root tag. It's called RSS. And then you can see that there's a whole bunch of XML that describes things like story titles and links. And here's a tag called description. There's a copyright tag, a publication date. And each one of the stories in this news feed is described using XML. So applications like browsers, for example, that know how to read XML and know how to associate style sheets with them can give users a nice experience in reading their news stories. Now, I don't expect you to understand all of this code right now. We're going to get deeper into this as we go through the course, but you can see that using XML, CNN is able to provide a nice data-driven interface to their stories. Okay, so let's go ahead and close these two windows. Similarly, the New York Times does the same kind of thing. You can see that the New York Times, and here I am on newyorktimes.com/services/XML/RSS, and it's the index.html homepage for this. The New York Times is also using RSS, which stands for Really Simple Syndication, and they're using it to publish their blogs as well. So if I click on this link here, say the New York Times homepage, US, you'll see that once again, I'm getting a nicely formatted page. But again, when I right click and choose View Page Source, and again, I'm going to zoom the page up, you can see that they are also using RSS, and it's all just XML code to deliver their news stories. Okay, let's close this. All right, so that's blogs using RSS. Let's take a look at another example of real-world XML usage, and that's here on the weather.gov site. Now, I'm at the w1.weather.gov/xml/current_obs, which I guess means observations, index.xml. Now, when I go to this page, you can see that there's a statement here. It says, this XML file does not appear to have any style information associated with it. The document tree is shown below. So unlike CNN and the New York Times, this particular XML page does not have any style information, and therefore I'm just getting the raw XML here in the browser. And let me go ahead and zoom this up so we can see it a little bit larger. All right, there we go. Now you can also see that when I zoom the code up, that this is not RSS. This is a different dialect of XML that the Weather Service is using to describe weather conditions. And you can see here at the top, there are XML tags that describe things like, links and titles and so on. And then there's a whole bunch of XML tags named station. So here's a station right here, here's a station right here. Each one of these station tags contains information about the station identifier, where it's located, longitude and latitude, that kind of thing. And then further feeds that indicate what the weather is at that location. So Weather Service using XML to distribute weather-related information over the internet. All right, one more example. This one comes from Wikipedia, and it talks about the Microsoft Office XML formats. So, in addition to being able to save Office files in their native Microsoft format, Microsoft also supports saving Office files as XML documents. And you can go to the Wikipedia site and learn more about this. But if I scroll down the page, you can see that there's a list of file formats that are supported in Office as XML. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. And you can see that they've got a couple of examples here on the website. The first one here is for the Microsoft Word XML format. And you can see that there's a whole bunch of XML code here that describes a fully functional Microsoft Word document. And this one's fairly long, but it's a pretty good working example. And if we scroll down a little bit more, here's one for Excel. So this is the Excel XML format. Try saying that 5 times fast. And you can see I scroll through this example. It's just using XML to describe the contents of an Excel spreadsheet. So this should give you an idea of how widespread XML is being used and for various different purposes for displaying news information, weather, file formats for Office-related software. XML is really, really flexible and helps you solve a lot of different data-related problems, and we're going to see that as we go through the course.